What was Neymar doing yesterday? We haven't seen such a disgrace in a long time. Rashford opened the second half in Aston Villa. Carlo Ancelotti is leaving Real Madrid. Another mass brawl in football. Players are threatened with jail terms. Barcelona wants to sign the best defender in the world, while Manchester City dreams of replacing Kevin De Bruyne with Jude Bellingham. We're discussing this and more today. Friends, this is a dose of football, and the top 10 hottest news at this hour, friends. The conditions remain the same, 5,000 likes today, new video tomorrow. Well, I wish you a pleasant appetite and a pleasant viewing. In England, they are talking about Jude Bellingham again, this time in the context of a possible move to Manchester City. Apparently, Pep Guardiola sees in him the ideal replacement for Kevin De Bruyne, whose contract expires this summer. The Bellingham is increasingly unable to play due to injuries, and rumors of a move to Saudi Arabia are only gathering momentum. According to the Spanish media, the reigning Premier League champions are not losing hope of keeping Bellingham at Etihad, even though just over a year ago, he preferred the Madrid's Real Madrid. They were among those who vied for the signature of Dortmund's bright star, but the defender clearly chose to move to Santiago Bernabeu. However, people in SETI now believe De Bruyne's absence could strongly favor a transfer. However, let's be honest, this is more like wishful thinking than a real scenario. Bellingham has adapted well in Madrid and has already won 2 major trophies, La Liga and the Champions League in his first season. He didn't just fit into Ancelotti's squad, he became a key figure in it. The team's top scorer is one of the main contenders for the Golden Ball. And after all this, he suddenly decides to trade Real for City. Something really radical has to happen for Bellingham to seriously consider moving. For example, if Real Madrid's coaching staff changes drastically and the new coach pushes Jude into a less comfortable position for him. And next summer, a change of coach is expected in Madrid. But I can't imagine that Xabi Alonso, if the Spaniard does become the coach of Real, would make things uncomfortable for Bellingham. In reality, City doesn't have any serious arguments to pull Bellingham out of Santiago Bernabeu. He chose this path himself, and he is not planning to depart from it yet. Arsenal has a problem with the position of a central forward, and this is not news. Kai Havertz's move hasn't met expectations so far. Gabriel Jesus also doesn't always inspire confidence regarding his situation, to put it mildly. Mikel Arteta is understandably seeking to bolster the team. Arsenal is pursuing a 2-pronged approach to achieve this. Immediately. The Londoners are looking at 2 footballers, Aston Villa's midfielder Jacob Ramsey and Sporting's forward Victor Gyökeres. Ramsey is quite obvious. The young Englishman is thriving in Birmingham with a playing style that is quick, incisive, and features strong dribbling skills. He aligns perfectly with Arteta's philosophy. Arsenal wants to add more creativity to the center of the field, and Ramsey seems to be an ideal candidate for this. The problem is that his contract lasts until the year 2027, and Aston Villa values their ward at €50 million. And competition, of course, as well. Tottenham and Newcastle United are tracking him, but Victor Gyökeres is the primary transfer target, per media reports. Sporting's forward continues to make his mark in the Portuguese Championship even without Ruben Amorim. 24 goals in 25 matches is a result that is hard to ignore. In London, he's seen as the very attacker who should solve the problem with implementation. Only the Portuguese are not planning to part with their attacker too easily. The contract of Sweden has a buyout option worth €100 million, and Sporting clearly will not back down. Arsenal aims to reduce the price to £65 million, but faces competition from Manchester United, Chelsea and Barcelona. The Londoners already tried to sign Gyökeres last summer, but they couldn't agree. Now in Arsenal, they are confident that the Champions League and the ambitious project can persuade the Swede to choose them. But there is little time for deliberation. If the Gunners don't hurry, they risk missing out on both transfer targets at once. Since Todd Boyle's arrival at Chelsea, the club has spent astronomical amounts on transfers, some completely unjustified. There have already been quite a few players gathered in the Londoners' squad, bought for astronomical sums of money, but not living up to expectations. You could list examples indefinitely, but one thing remains unchanged. The American owner of Chelsea has no plans to stop. It's especially frustrating when the team makes unnecessary new purchases. Last summer, Boyle spent over 100 million on Pedro Neto and João Felecha, even though the coach already had several wingers who were capable of covering any position on the flanks in his disposal. Chelsea possesses a well-rounded roster that allows the coach to constantly rotate players, maintaining freshness and focus throughout the season. The latest Chelsea transfer news is once again shocking and bewildering, despite previous efforts. According to portal data, the Londoners have set their sights on another winger, Luis Diaz from Liverpool. They plan to acquire him this summer and make him one of the club's highest-paid players. But even if we assume that Diaz will move to London and win the competition, what to do with the rest? Send them on loan again, as it was already the case with João Felix and other players during the winter transfer window. Of course, Boyle's strategy is understandable. Buy something promising, hoping that this something will shoot, but it seems to me such adventures cost too much money. And although occasionally Boyle does get worthy options, it's not uncommon for the money to be wasted, since they can't even get into the lineup. Barcelona periodically looks towards the leaders of Liverpool, whose contract expires at the end of the season. The possibility of getting such star and strong players for free attracts the leadership of the Catalans. There was information before that Barcelona tries luck in the transfer of Mohamed Salah, but everyone perfectly understands how the Egyptian is preparing to say goodbye to the last years of his career. And he probably wouldn't want to go through all that trouble, whether they'll even be able to register him for the next season. Now, there are reports that the Catalans are looking at the defender of the Scouts, Virgil van Dijk. The Dutchman's situation is similar. His Liverpool contract also ends after this season, and its extension is uncertain. I have no idea what the future will bring. The one who says he knows something doesn't know anything at all, Van Dijk recently stated. But somehow it seems that the Dutchman also wants to sign a fat contract in the end. Can Barcelona offer him good conditions? But, as the source notes, for Van Dijk's transfer, they will have to part ways with Ronald Araujo, who has a deferment option in his new contract worth 60 million euros. But does this make sense? From a gameplay perspective, signing Van Dijk will be beneficial for any European giant, because he is simply the best central defender in the world. But when a player is looking to earn a worry-free football pension and does not decide to extend the contract with the best European team, Barcelona, with all its problems, is hardly interested in such a footballer. And is there any sense for the Catalans themselves to sign Van Dijk when for his transfer they will have to make serious sacrifices? Although football paths are unpredictable, such a transfer can hardly be called real. There were a lot of passions on the Turkish football pitches in the last tour, especially hot in Istanbul, where Galatasaray hosted Adana Demir. The guests left the field mid-first half, causing chaos. The cause of such a radical action were the controversial decisions of the referee, or more specifically, one particular incident of a penalty imposed against them. Refereeing scandals in Turkey have been a long-standing issue. Many are convinced that Galatasaray is being openly helped. In the Adana Demirspor match, Dries Mertens drew a penalty after being fouled in the box, and the referee awarded the spot kick without hesitation. Galatasaray's new signing Alvaro Morata scored a penalty confidently, marking just the start of his impact. The guests were already on the edge, and the last drop was a harsh foul on their player, on which the referee simply turned a blind eye. Instead of penalizing the culprit, the arbitrator issued a yellow card to the upset footballer Adana Demirspor. Then, the players and coaching staff decided to leave the field in protest. The match was stopped, and now its fate is decided by the Turkish Football Federation. In neighboring Greece, there was no less loud scandal. The footballers and coaching staff of PAOK left the stadiums after a match with AEK. In the parking lot, the rival fans approached them and began to provoke, showing off their team's 6-year-old shirt. AEK became the Greek champion, which PAOK fans never accepted, calling the title stolen. Instead of ignoring the fans, the players went for them. A full-scale brawl broke out. Law enforcement officials had to intervene extremely. The players received 10-day bans, and the coach was suspended for a month and a half, taking the incident beyond the scope of sport. Criminal cases were opened against certain players, for example, against the Russian defender Magomed Azdoev. The footballer could be imprisoned for participating in that brawl, although he himself asserts that he did not beat anyone and is not guilty at all. In short, it recalls the story of the 95th year when Cantana kicked a fan. He was then sentenced to 2 weeks in prison, but later the sentence was replaced with community service. Let's see what will happen with Azdoev and the others. Carlo Ancelotti is not just giving up this year. In addition to the crisis and long searches for balance, judicial scandals and total ignoring of transfer requests from the management, the coach also faced the dissatisfaction of the attack group players. Vinicius recently openly showed his displeasure during a match, after which he left the field without applause for the fans. Unlike the other partners, Ancelotti supported Modric, and Vinicius probably did not like this. In the match against Atletico, Papacarlo threatened the forwards with substitutions if they do not continue to play for each other. Winnie grew tired of his shifting to the field center. Ancelotti has reasons to consider dismissal. Moreover, the Italian already knows that he will leave Real Madrid after this season. This was told by the reliable journalist about Real, Ramon Alvarez de Mon. Florentino Perez plans to sign Xabi Alonso and is confident he will succeed, as Xabi has rejected offers from Liverpool and Bayern. Ancelotti has not yet decided what to do next, according to the data. There is an invitation to Saudi Arabia, where he is being offered to earn 20 million euros a year, almost twice as much as he earns in Madrid. The Sheikhs are committed to greatly boosting the popularity of Saudi football by the 2034 World Cup. And the invitation to Ancelotti is considered an important step towards this, but this is not the only option for the manager. The same source writes that the Brazil national team has not yet abandoned the idea of signing Papacarlo. The Brazilian Football Confederation approached the Italian coach's entourage after the Spanish Super Cup, offering him the chance to lead the national team until the end of his contract. World Championship 2026, Ancelotti is considered the best possible candidate. The coach has until May to decide. It's the final deadline. Football Ancelotti and his skills in the locker room are just perfect for the national team. Daddy Carlo has enough money. Firstly, he will select a new project based on personal preferences. So obviously, he would prefer to go to Brazil rather than Saudi Arabia. Though perhaps I'm just a dreamer romantic. Remember the flair with which Barcelona signed Vitor Roque? Brazilians hailed the future star of world football as the new Luis Suarez. Atlético Paranaense made a sum of around 60 million euros for him. And they might make even more if Roque makes it to the top 3 nominees for the Golden Ball. So far though, there's nothing to indicate that it's a reality. Roque proved to be clumsy when it came to playing in the pass. It's a career crossroads in Barcelona where the incoming strikers are expected to combine with partners and then score. It's unclear how Barcelona's leadership decided to buy him, considering such a mismatch with the team's style. Deco personally curated the transfer. He should be the one to answer questions about it. Although the Portuguese is so embarrassed by his mistake that he's trying to pin Rocky's purchase on Xavi, who insisted on him due to Gavi's injury. I don't see the logic. The coach didn't even use Vitor after that. Rocky had marital issues this year, and there were rumors about a potential summer move to Palmeiras. Flick doesn't think Rocky is a strong player and will let him go if he comes back to Barca. From Betis, where Suarez didn't manage to establish himself, a bunch of Iron Randos are surviving. Rocky faces a tough rival, and the Brazilian is losing ground in the fight for a position on the pitch. This season, Victor has only 4 goals in 20 matches, even though he plays in a strong team. In brief, it's clear he didn't become the new Suarez. Not for the first time, Barcelona fans saw in Ansu Fati the new Messi and a symbol of the club's rejuvenation. They handed him the number 10, but injuries didn't let the promising player to fully unfold. And now, they don't even let him play at a decent level. Unlike Rocky, Fati doesn't want to be loaned out. Journalist Luis Miguel Sanchez said that Barca offered the Spaniard all the conditions necessary for a winter loan, but Anso declined. The club doesn't understand why the player doesn't want to leave, despite the fact that he doesn't get playing time. Blaugrana is working with his agent Jorge Mendes to persuade Anso, but even the Portuguese specialist is not managing so far. Fati has an offer from Besiktas, but he's not even considering it. The window to leave Turkey for practice remains open, but this is the final opportunity. Well, Fati stays after class for extra punch training sessions. Robert Lewandowski even stays back to help his young partner. I don't know if Anso deserves credit for such faith in his Catalan future, but Lewa deserves respect in any case. Marcus Rashford has gone to Aston Villa to restart his career and secure a transfer to Barcelona. Jadon Sancho has approved Rashford's transfer. Sancho added a comment under his partner's photo saying "freedom," as if Rashford was in trouble only because of the villain Amorim, who for some reason decided to ruin the career of such a first-class player. Sancho saw his own situation reflected in his relationship with Ten Hag, but failed to draw the right conclusions. Rashford debuted for Villa against Tottenham. The Birmingham people welcomed Marcus very warmly and supported him with applause. When the Englishman touched the ball, Marcus didn't look bad for his 25 minutes. Fabrizio Romano further described that Rashford was able to win the trust of Unai Emery. Emery is very satisfied. He has a good attitude towards work. He trains well. He needs time to regain top form, but the move has had a positive effect so far. Emery spoke with Marcus extensively and made positive conclusions about him. In addition, the coach was impressed when Rashford trained individually on a regular day off. And our boss got the impression as if Marcus is still hungry and willing to fight for a place in the starting lineup. I hope Wenger won't be limited to just the first month with Vili, but will continue even in Bares if, of course, his dream comes true. We know what such talent can achieve with proper dedication, as demonstrated last season. But now Rashford has at least one enemy in Aston Villa. According to the publication, Daniel Malin is extremely angry that Villa did not include him in the Champions League application. The Lions preferred to declare Marcus Rashford, Marcus Asensio, and Axel Disasi. Marcus is a direct competitor to Malin in position. Ironically, Malin left Borussia for success in the Champions League and only considered clubs from Europa Cup. And here is such a setup from Emery. Neymar has not fully unleashed his potential yet, and even without that, he has long been a top 3 footballer in the world in social network popularity. It's not just about an active lifestyle, love for parties, an addiction to poker, and a fondness for beautiful women next door. Neymar has taste for beautiful women. Neymar became a social network star when they were just getting started. As he fell, phones were passed from one device to another via Bluetooth, and sometimes even exported. Even his move from Brazil to La Liga didn't change anything. Neymar continued to put on a show in both games and practices. Recently, his career has been declining. On social media, he's been in the shadows due to scandals and injuries, not highlights. However, returning to Santos, the Brazilian decided to show us the good old Neymar. A video surfaced online showing him at Santos training, scoring a magnificent goal from a narrow angle. And he did it as if it was no effort at all, followed by a wink to the camera. "Easy," he said, "but talent and skill alone won't carry you through a match." Neymar played his second game for Santos, and for the first time since his return, he was on the field from the first minutes and did not show much against Novo Horizontino. 0 goals, 0 assists, and incredibly, 0 successful dribbles. Despite his attempts, Neymar just could not dribble, losing possession 26 times in the match. It was simply shocking. He was having an off day, but he kept pushing forward to support the team. Brazilian media criticized him harshly for such a match. More than deservedly so. After Neymar's first game in Santos, it seemed like he could get back into his former shape and return to Europe, as he dreams. However, such performances make one doubt this. Shame. Otherwise, yesterday's dinner can't be called. Inter had a great chance to close the gap with Napoli. Teammates dropped points versus Udinese. They hosted Fiorentina on Razorri, aiming to recover the 1-goal deficit. The last meeting of the teams ended with a rout by the Milanese, but yesterday's struggle was much more interesting. It's a pity that the referee spoiled a good match with his strange decision. He just gifted Inter a corner out of nothing. From the moment Mbaston in the backswing didn't manage to shoot the penalty, but the referee didn't notice and pointed at the corner. They opened the score on Razor from it. Of course, Fialchi were upset, but what can you do? It's not a penalty to appeal to video assistant referee. But the final victory of Inter seems to be fair after all. The Snakes irritated their opponent for most of the match, with only a short break in the second half. A wrap-up of the match can be found on our TV channel. Check the description link and pinned comment. In addition to top match roundups, there are many other interesting things there. And one more scandal, but not judicial, happened in the Women's La Liga. Barcelona's defender Pilar León fancied herself as Vinnie Jones, and in her opponent Daniela Caracas, she saw Paul Gascoigne. Well, she grabbed her by the private area at the corner flag and even asked, "Do you have a package there?" Caracas was annoying during the match. Fans criticized her masculine looks, which also happens in Russia. In other words, the soccer player Barca was grabbing at the last thing she wanted. Espanyol has stated they will legally support Caracas if she decides to go to court. Espanyol released an official statement, but Caracas has not yet commented on her social networks. We want to express absolute discontent and condemn the events that occurred last Sunday. We consider such actions unacceptable. Pilar Leo violated the personal space of our footballer. Caracas did not react at the moment due to the situation, but later, reflecting on what happened, she realized the seriousness of this jest. But she decided not to show her anger to avoid causing harm to the team. In short, we await a legal battle and a prolonged scandal. By the way, Pilar Leo was included in the list of the 50 most influential lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people in Spain in the 18th and 19th years. The episode with Vinnie Jones and Gascoigne became cult. Legends only laugh about it and even dub that photo as a joke. In this case, relying on the sides coming to peace is unnecessary. The scandal has reached a colossal scale. All of Spain is judging, but today everyone is. Thanks for watching and subscribing. I'm Kirill Cast, and this was your daily dose of football. Peace to your house and its hinged Druzia.